Thank you. So, I presented myself earlier in this today. I have to say, just to warn you, I'm from the state, so, but I am a geologist, so I guess I'm fine in this crowd. But one of my main objectives early on in this session is to prove to you that we are real people, us giving the permits, us doing the regulations. And this is my team, and I have to say we are a bit more now than we were when this picture was taken. But my colleagues here from the Danish Energy Agency, CCS department, we prioritize to visit our sites in Denmark. We prioritize to go out and see the industry and visit all kinds of different types of industries within this CCS sector, also CCUS for that matter. So we started 1.5 years ago, being 4 employees in this department, and now we are more than 20. So as I said earlier, this is going quite fast, and we are working as hard as we can to get the regulation on top of the CCS development. Our finest job at the agency is to, if I have to continue yesterday's word play, we have to mix the political apples and pears with the technical cucumbers and tomatoes, and we have to make all the salad taste very good. And that's quite, it creates a large amount of conflicts in this area, and what we have to do is combine all these actors in making CCS a success. Today I have to talk about our strategic environmental assessments that we've been working on for the past little more than a year, for both some onshore areas and some offshore areas. This is a follow-up of the offshore tender we did last year, where we had part of the North Sea tendered out for CCS, where we have the Green Sand project, as you've already heard about. So this is new. These are new areas we have to put in place. So a little about our authority complex. We do not do this alone. We are many members of a group who works with the regulations in CCS. And maybe this looks a bit complex, but we have all the local municipalities who do the local planning, and they are, even though these are local politicians, they are ordinary city councils, they're actually great partners in this. And we have 2 primary state authorities. We have us at the Energy Agency, and then we have the Environmental Agency, who are the Environmental Authority onshore, where we are the authority offshore. So we have to combine our forces, and we have to work very closely together to make these projects work, especially when we have projects that are both onshore, offshore, like pipelines, or if we have a complex of storage facilities in these 2 types of areas. So of course you can see the slide later on, and you can read more about this. But the main thing is that we are the authority on the permits for utilizing subsoil. In Denmark, the state owns the subsoil, and we can give the permits to utilize it. So it's not owned by any private people. So what we have to do as the authority is we have to do the planning. In order to do the CCS, we have to make the plans. And therefore, we do the strategic environmental assessments before we can approve a plan. So the areas that I'm talking about, we have 8 areas right now in this plan, or in the coming plan. It's not for sure that all of them will be either approved in the plan or tendered out. So I have to make that clear from the beginning. This is just the environmental assessment. And we have 2 assessments that we just finished the 2nd public hearing of. We have the full-scale plan, where we permit CO2 storage in these areas. And this has had a focus of course, Natura 2000 areas, public health, all the ordinary things that we do when we do the EIAs, also the environmental assessments. Then we also have an executive order for the pilot and demonstration projects. And now I'm guessing I'm going to confuse you a bit, because our definition of pilot projects is a bit different then I think everybody else is here, because our definition is by regulation. And the Danish definition of pilot projects within the regulations is the projects that is not within the CCS directive. So that means that it's the project that's below 100 kilotons and no more, with a duration no more than 2 years. So the pilot projects in Denmark is different than what you call pilot projects. So it's also caused some confusion within Denmark itself between the authorities and the operators, especially Stenlille that Carsten was talking about yesterday, where they are quite convinced that they are they call this a pilot project because it's new and it's a test. So, but because of the amounts of CO2 stored, we have to regulate it as a full-scale project. So, just a second. I also want to say about the Stenlille project, even though, as Carsten said yesterday, they have the gas storage facility in Stenlille, which you can see, which is the pointer here? Top button. Stenlille is here, in the middle of Zealand, just near Copenhagen, about 40 kilometers or so. I think for some people it's like just in the neighborhood, but for us, as you can see, it's a long distance. But Stenlille, they are going to participate in the tenders on equal terms as everybody else who wants to apply. And since we haven't tendered it out yet, we don't really know for sure if it's going to be Gas Storage Denmark at Stenlille who's going to be getting the license for this area. But of course, they have an advantage because they have all the data. So they have an advantage in their application. So not because it's not the data that they have that give them the advantage, it's how fast they can provide this data. So, and since these pilots that we are defined by regulation in Denmark is not regulated by the CCS directive, it's not regulated by our environmental assessment law or act either. So what we have done in order for these projects to be regulated is to make this executive order so we can regulate both the environment and also the technical conditions for these permits. So no CCS is unregulated in Denmark at present time. So, do we have room? Denmark is very small. I noticed yesterday, our American partners here, you talked about very rural areas, which was about 100,000 people. That defines most of the south of Zealand, as you can see here. So our rural areas is maybe 2,000 or 3,000 people. So our area, the area we work in, is quite small compared to that. So and we of course have to do a lot of planning, which is also what takes a lot of time. So as you see here, we have the 2,000 areas, which are the protected areas from the Habitat Directive. This area out here is a North Sea CCS tendered out last year, where we have the green sand there, as you see it. And the colored areas here, that's a suggestion of priority for when these areas should be tendered out. And this is most of Denmark. We have Bornholm, which is way over here, a small island between Sweden and Poland. So where we do not have CCS. So of course we have to work around all these especially the protected nature and also the oil and gas licenses where we have present oil and gas activities. But another thing we've talked about earlier today also was the Maritime Spatial Plan. This constitutes a lot of our sea area. Actually, it constitutes all of it. And this means that we have competition with wind power, we have competition with raw materials, general zones where we have to do public interest, we have fishing areas, we have all types of areas we have to do competition with in the CCS. And maybe it doesn't mean much when we have to do storage below in the subsoil, but it means a lot when we have to do installations on top. because we also have rules about how close can you get to the platforms and how close can you get to the pipeline. So everything has to be put together, and Denmark in that aspect is quite small. So as Lina was talking about earlier, the HELCOM Convention, there. Some of you might notice if I go back, let me see, to this map. Lina was showing us the maps of the HELCOM and the OSPA. And Havnsø, which is an example where we have both onshore, offshore within the same storage complex. We have that here. And it's right in the middle of HELCOM. So of course we cannot store CO2 there, but it doesn't prevent us from doing the environmental assessment, just in case somebody wants to renegotiate the convention at some point in time. So, and because this area is very important, both infrastructural and storage-wise, Kalundborg, which is right near Havnsø, a city here, is one of the bigger harbors in Denmark, where we do a lot of transportation to the areas in Jutland, Fredericia and Aarhus and stuff like that. So we have a lot of infrastructural positive things going on in Kalundborg. So I just move to the slide there. So what we tried this time. I know this is a normal way of thinking in, for example, the Netherlands, but in Denmark this is a new way of thinking. In the Netherlands, I don't think it's been put in precise words like this, but we have this time decided to try what we call differentiating the subsoil from the surface. We do that because we are such a small country. We have a lot of conflicts on the surface. We don't do the differentiation because we want to avoid nature protection. We do it because we want to take the protection under consideration, and we want to enhance coexistence between these types of installations. So what we've done is that here you have the subsoil plan, the expected subsoil plan for the Havnsø storage complex. I think Carsten can, if he's here, can give me an answer to the depth. I think it's about 1,500 meters below. We're going to be storing in the Gassam formation. What we've done in the environmental assessment is that we realized quite early in the process that there was going to be a conflict in this. Not only in Havnsø, but in everywhere in Denmark between the Nature 2000 areas and these installations that are expected to come as a result of the CO2 storage onshore. So do I have time?
Almost none.
Did I spend 15 minutes already? Yeah. Okay, I'll be fast. So we did the differentiation. We took out some of the areas on the surface, and this means that we cannot do any installations connected to the CCS on the surface, but we still have the full capacity in the storage complex in the subsoil. So the main conclusions, I'll just go over them really fast. You can read them in the slides. The one thing that's concerning is that we cannot rule out impact on the public health because of the way they feel about this. They are very concerned about this. They don't know enough about this area. So we have also constructed a very deep relationship with the environmental agency, because they are going to be the onshore authority. So we are going to be handling this together for the public interest. I just want to, I hope I have time. The public interest is very important. I'm going to be sneaky here. Because we had some public meetings. We had 9, and what we have the normal questions from them: will we explode? Will we die? Is this going to be poisonous to our drinking water and stuff like that? I'm sure you all know them. And what we found out is working is the general picture we do in Denmark. We have a broad political agreement for CCS. We have general citizen support for the government. That helps a lot, I can say. And then we have the media attention. The media helps us, both in directing all the negative comments, the worries, but they also help us communicating this, and they've done that for years, actually. The climate changes, they have been very foreseeing about all the worries we have about climate change. Sharing of knowledge, we do that a lot. We prioritize that. And then our ministry has done a lot of the groundwork, communicating with all the politicians, also the local politicians. So we actually have the support of many of the local mayors and politicians, and that also helps with the citizens. So these are the 4 main points for the success we have in Denmark right now, because we have a broad support for the CCS. As Carsten said yesterday, it's more than expected. We're quite surprised. But the one thing that really matters is transparency, and that's we need to be honest about what CCS means for the public, for where they live, and what's going to happen, but also the consequences if we do not do CCS. So the last slide I have for you today is what happens next. We are going to be finishing this plan in about November. Then we're going to be preparing the tender, which will take place in the beginning of next year. And we are not sure that all 8 areas will be tendered out, but these are the areas where CO2 storage will be made possible at some point in time. Thank you.
I think I've started some kind of a culture here of sneakiness. So that wasn't very sneaky, but very, very